Welcome to Season 2 of Red Sox Digest, the only show where pain, sarcasm, and false hope collide nightly, like a Masataka Yoshida ground out to second. We break down every loss, every meltdown, and the occasional win, with sarcasm, facts, and no front office spin. Subscribe today at RedSoxDigest.com, or keep wondering how a wildcard team spent an entire offseason avoiding power hitters. And now, here's the crew at Red Sox Digest.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I am your host tonight, Jim Delfino. And folks, what a weekend at Fenway Park. 3 games against the Tampa Bay Rays, 2 losses, 1 rainout, thank goodness, 1 offensive pulse, and approximately 45 moments where Red Sox fans collectively stared at the television like divorced dads watching their ex-wife walk in the Olive Garden with a guy named Rick. You know what the Rays are at this point? They're that smug younger brother who never has money, never fixes his car, lives in a condo the size of a broom closet, but somehow beats the hell out of you at everything. Every year, it's the same thing. The Red Sox spend money. The Rays assemble a roster using printer toner and a Dunkin' gift card. And by Sunday afternoon, Tampa's got some 24-year-old middle infielder named Ben Williamson hitting lasers all over Fenway, while the Red Sox offense looks like they're trying to swap bees with pool noodles. And before we get into this disaster of a series, can we all stop pretending to be shocked every time this team face plants against Tampa? The Rays walked into Fenway with a roster that sounds like a law firm on a highway billboard and spent the weekend beating the Red Sox around like a drunk guy trying to fight an inflatable tube man at a car dealership. Meanwhile, the Red Sox offense looked like raccoons trying to open a locked garbage can with oven mitts on. Joining me tonight is Nick Face. Nick spent the entire Rays series tweeting like a man trapped inside a haunted lighthouse. Every inning, he got angrier. By the 7th inning today, I think he was ready to personally fight Trevor Story in the parking lot using a folding chair and a Dunkin' iced coffee. Joining us as well is John Martinello. John watches baseball like he's solving the Zodiac murders. The guy's got spreadsheets, launch angles, exit velocity charts. Meanwhile, the Red Sox are out there scoring 1 run like a beer league softball team that just met each other in the parking lot. And of course, Thayer Doyle is here tonight. Thayer's the only calm adult left in the Red Sox media room. Every week, this man shows up trying to discuss fundamentals, while the rest of us are emotionally reenacting the ending of the Titanic on live internet television. Let's get into it. The Red Sox offense this weekend was unbelievable. And not a good unbelievable. More like, is this legally allowed to be shown to children unbelievable? 1 run yesterday? 1. You know who had the best offensive day? Mickey Gasper. Mickey Gasper sounds less like a baseball player and more like the guy who sells fireworks out of a storage container behind a seafood restaurant. And somehow he was the bright spot. Trevor Story? Oh my God. At this point, every Trevor Story at bat feels like a surprise tax audit. 3 strikeouts yesterday, another defensive screw-up, and every time there's a runner on base, he walks to the plate looking like a substitute teacher trying to figure out how the projector works. I swear to God, Story comes up with men on base at Fenway, and Fenway gets quieter than a funeral home microwave. Meanwhile, the Rays just keep manufacturing players in some underground baseball laboratory. Who are these guys? Ben Williamson, Ryan Valade, Taylor Walls, Jonathan Aranda. They sound like names you hear from when your furnace breaks. Yeah, we got Taylor Walls coming between 1 and 4 p.m. And then the guy shows up and drives 2 runs off the Red Sox. Every single year, Tampa does this. Every year. Boston's over here holding leadership summits, creating buzzwords, talking about organizational philosophy, while Tampa's just winning games with a roster that looks auto-generated. Can we talk about Fenway this weekend? You could feel the life getting sucked out of that stadium inning by inning. Every time the Red Sox got a runner on base, the crowd reacted like somebody trying to restart a dead campfire. Oh, maybe this is something. And then immediately, strikeout, pop-up, double play, sadness, and a commercial break. By the 9th inning yesterday, Mickey Gasper doubles Marcelo Meyer walks, and for 5 beautiful seconds, Fenway actually had hope. And then, of course, Rafaela strikes out. Durbin grounds out. Duran flies out. Game over. That's this team in a nutshell right now. They create hope specifically so they can hit you over the head with it. It's like dating someone who texts, "We need to talk" at 9 a.m. and then disappears until dinner. But honestly, folks, this team sucks. Not, "Oh, shucks, they're struggling," sucks. I mean, how do they score one run in an entire afternoon at Fenway sucks? And here we all are again, watching every game, screaming at the television, threatening to stop caring, and then crawling right back the next night like raccoons returning to a dumpster behind a Wendy's. Because that's Red Sox baseball, folks. 1 minute, you're convinced the season is dead. The next minute, they win 3 straight. And suddenly you're checking your wild card standings at 1:30 in the morning like a complete psychopath. This team drives everyone insane. And somehow we keep showing up anyway. That's it. I've said enough. It's time for us to face the facts.
It's time for Face the Facts, where excuses get laughed out of the room, your feelings are irrelevant, and your opinion probably doesn't matter. No spin, no cope, just the facts. And now, your esteemed host, Nick Face.
Tonight's word of the day is brought to you by Empower. Yes, Empower Cafes. My job, my place. And I mention that because, well, Jim, your monologue was very good, but you went below the belt on me tonight. You mentioned with your Trevor Story reference, Duncan. Get that shit out of my life and out of that line. I run on Empower. Zing. Anyways, I think we actually got the greatest gift we could have ever wanted on Saturday night with the Rainout guys. I really do. So there was one less frustrated evening that we didn't have to deal with another Red Sox loss. The Mother's Day game, I mean, what a snooze-a-thon that was. I mean, there was about nothing exciting about that other than Peyton Tolley getting pumped up with striking out Junior Caminero. I don't know if you guys saw, but the Tomboys, they did their whole thing about why Peyton Tolley got so excited there. And much like with me, if you and Jim as well, if you've lost your mother and you have that emotion of pitching through something that's so tough in your life, clearly that's why he was so jacked, just to get out of that jam and get out of that. So that was kind of a interesting take, I must say, on their part. And I didn't agree with going after Tolley for him getting so excited for that. There's really nothing to blame on Tolley, truly, except for the home run really given up. It was more so Trevor Story. I think from the whole series, looking at everything, Trevor Story is the talking point right now. We joke about it a lot, and we keep going and going and going with it. But guys, we have to get to that point where enough is enough. I mean, Alex Cora isn't here anymore. So Trevor Story should not have a lifeboat right now. He should be thrown off the Titanic right now. He should be, because I don't want to see it anymore. I want Marcelo Meyer at shortstop tomorrow. Tomorrow. Make a statement. Make a change. And that's, in my eyes, what needs to be done for this team. I'd rather Trevor Story get DFA'd and sent off to Siberia. I actually put out a tweet last night asking for GoFundMe funds so we can send Trevor Story to Siberia. So if anybody wants to donate to that cause, hit me up after the show. Let's see how much we can get to get that bum out of here. The other big thing for me from the weekend was Jarren Duran. And again, these are things that Trevor Story was the error that resulted in runs being scored from the Rays. But this really wasn't anything to do with really anything from the games from Duran. But Duran takes center stage yet again for going after Michael Hawley with a tweet that he talked about with, I guess he was all upset about the media lying about injuries and saying, oh, you're a bunch of jackasses because nobody's lying here, blah, 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 blah. Well, I don't know if it was Jarren Duran that did it or if the team told Jarren Duran to do it. But since we are 24 hours basically after the fact, there is no more Instagram or no more Twitter X in Jarren Duran's life. So what a tool bag. I mean, this guy just keeps getting worse and worse and worse as we go. He has absolutely no filter. He doesn't belong here. He shouldn't be here anymore. And yet he is. I don't want him here anymore. Trevor Story and Jarren Duran are two of the catalysts of why this team sucks. They are far from leaders. They are never going to be leaders, and they are going to continue this team going right down the stream and off the avalanche at the end. Get them out of here so we can progress and start doing something with the youth movement, because you're not going to do diddly squat with these two imbeciles still on this team anymore. I don't know what you guys think on those, but those were my big talking points from everything. I mean, and the other thing that we can say is Conley Early was outstanding also. We should shout out to him from his Friday night start. The kid's just the balls. And what I mean by that is he's tough as nails. He's a grinder. He doesn't care. He just goes out and competes and does his job. He's awesome to see, and I think the future out of all of the talent that we have seen come up, guys, in fairness, I think Conley Early is the one that's going to exceed our expectations as time goes on, because I just think he fits the mold of what a major league player is supposed to do. Competitor, workhorse, gets the job done, no nonsense mentality, blocks all the other nonsense out, and just pitches. Just my take.
Yeah, a couple great points there. As far as Duran, he's the gift that just keeps on giving all year round. I mean, it just doesn't stop with him. I mean, it's just one thing after another. Stop being involved with what other people say and just do your job and move on.
He can't.
He can't do it. He can't help himself. That's the problem. He can't help himself. Your comment on Tolle is well deserved. Jamboy Media was really out of line there. Even Caminero, I mean, he gave Tolle some looks, but if he knew the situation a little bit better, which he should, that would.
Caminero should be the last person that should be giving anybody looks.
Yeah.
Out of them all. So he needs to politely take a stroll back to your dugout, guy. Bye-bye. Yeah. You're out. Go take a seat.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, too many of these guys get too offended on so many different levels, and everybody's the guilty party. Everybody is the person that's been hurt. There's not enough toughness in this world anymore. That's part of the problem. Nick Face's word of the day is brought to you by Red Sox Remote Control Insurance. Because after every Trevor Story strikeout, there's a 78% chance Nick launches his remote through a ceiling fan like Randy Johnson hitting a bird. And now we're going to move on to the Martinello Minute.
And now the part they don't want said out loud. No spreadsheets or corporate spin, just the truth, raw and impatient. This is the Martinello Minute.
So the Sox lost 2 out of 3, and the only real positive note that I'm coming out of this series with is just that the Red Sox got beat. They played a professional team that's been playing really good baseball, and they just lost 2 out of those 3 games to them. Thursday night was the 8-4 loss in a game that for a split second, I thought that they had a chance of coming back in. At that point, it was a 6-4. Wilson Contreras got the RBI knock and then decided to get thrown out at second base by 30 feet. Junior Caminero hit his first of 2 homers in the series. And if you guys, anybody that was watching that broadcast, that second home run on Sunday, oh my God, it sounded like that a gunshot went off. Like the sore subject, like the guy that was shooting around guns in Cambridge today. But I mean, that second home run, oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't even know why I said that. It's kind of weird. But yeah, that second home run off Junior's bat. Oh my gosh. And then, Nick, to your point about talking on, him having those weird looks to Tolley after he struck him out. Did we not see Junior Caminero a couple months ago in the 6th inning of a World Baseball Classic game that they were beating the shit out of the other team by, acting like a complete buffoon around the base paths, taking 2 minutes to run around the bases, celebrating his ass off. So I don't know, like it could go,
Take a
it
walk.
goes both ways. Like, I understand it if, I was up in a game 3-0 and the pitcher, does that, maybe he doesn't know about Tolley's mom and, what that day meant to him, with it being Mother's Day. And then on top of that, the day before was the 2-year anniversary of her passing. So, I'm not going to get upset about Junior Caminero on that, but I will get upset with John Boy Media for, not reading the room on kind of what was going on there. But Jake Bennett on Thursday, he kind of was just what would expect out of him. 5 1/3 innings. Gave up, I think it was 5 earned. 4 earned runs. He could have been better, but he's a depth piece and there's not really much else to expect out of him. You hope for a quality start, but it shouldn't be shocking when, he gives you the exact outing that he did on Thursday. Friday night, the Sox won 2-0. Wilyer Abreu and Cedar Rafaela hit the solo home runs. And again, Nick, you brought it up, Connolly early, continues to impress us. He had that one bad start, and outside of that, he's been nails this season. He had a 73% strike rate. 22 out of the 26 batters he faced saw first pitch strike. He only gave up 4 hits, and he got out of that bases loaded, no out jam. Chapman looked sharp in that game too. It was his eighth save of the season, and I find it incredible that he has 8 saves this season because just of how little we have seen him. He had that was his 4th appearance in May. He only had 7 appearances in all of April. So it's nice to see that with the limited time out on the mound, he's still the guy that we expect him to be, and that he was last year. We talked about preseason. We can't expect him to be the guy that he was last year, and to this point, he's been nothing short of what he was last year. So it's really nice to see out of him. Just continuing to be that guy that we need him to be, because there's, again, we don't have too many arms. We saw Justin Slayton come back. He looked awesome yesterday, but outside of, him, and Whitlock's been a little bit shaky. We need, someone dependable in the 9th inning. Saturday was rained out. Really quickly, I want to touch on whoever makes the decisions on, games being canceled or being played. These guys let thousands of fans come to the park, pay for parking, buy their beer, buy their drinks, buy the food in a game that I think everybody knew wasn't going to be played. And to call it off 10 minutes before and have all these people pay all this money and not give them a voucher, a credit, anything of that nature it's just really messed up. And, it's something that could have been completely preventable if, at least, 30 minutes, 45 minutes before the game, call it. But letting it get that close to first pitch and have all these people spend all this money there and then give them nothing in return for it, shame on whoever the hell makes up those decisions. And then yesterday they lose 4-1. Peyton Tolley had an underrated game, I think. Error hit, whatever. Trevor Story let him down, and the offense did nothing to back him. Once again, he has one game this year that the offense, in his career really, that the offense has picked him up on the mound. Yeah, so it stinks. Wilson Contreras drilled in the hand. Still no word on, what if he's going to go to the IL or not. Chad Tracy said that they'll check in on him tomorrow. I don't know why they're not doing that today. And they're going to assess him, I guess, tomorrow. I'm terrified of what this team's going to look like if we have any extended period of time without Wilson Contreras and without Roman Anthony. But yeah, so the Rays win the series. Duran, Nick said it, deleted his Instagram after calling out the media. Wilson Contreras might be dead. Trevor Story is officially a zero-tool baseball player. And now that we have the Phillies running into town, They're coming into town tomorrow. They've won 7 of their last 10. And shout out to Mickey Casper for getting his first Red Sox hit in 600 plus days and being the only positive beacon of light yesterday.
Yeah, I don't understand why Mickey Gasper can just pepper the wall, but the rest of this team can't do that. I mean, it just amazes me how they just can't even think about doing something like that. And we'll talk more about Trevor Story in a little bit. But the thing about Early, I have to agree with both of you. He's looking really good and looking like a front end starter. So we may have something there. And he doesn't seem phased, like you guys said. The Martinello Minute is brought to you by Offense Be Gone, the revolutionary new invisible baseball bat spray currently being used by your Boston Red Sox. Side effects include stranded runners, emotional damage, and Trevor Story staring into space after strike 3. We're going to move along now to the third strike.
And now it's time for the third strike with Thayer.
I want to thank you guys for sort of providing such an incredible package for me to pick from as I go into this. And let me try to tie it all up into a nice little bow for y'all. Mm-hmm. First of all, John, thanks for recapping it. Who cares? This team is no good. They're not going to be any good. There's going to be opportunities when they're going to show a little bit of life, like the Tiger series. And that's going to be because the opponents provide them with the spark. They're the ones that are putting the adrenaline needle right into their heart and giving it to them. If a team doesn't do it, we have no chance. So from the day-to-day standpoint, I'm really not all that concerned about how this team does. And sort of with your point, sort of getting to this idea of how they sort of did the fans dirty this weekend, Nick, this is going to answer your question. We're not going to see Story moved anytime soon because this team is all about money. And they're not going to waste any of their money in their eyes by moving Trevor Story. This is a team that it's going to be an absolute waste of a season. We're probably going to see some development out of Early, perhaps. Maybe we're going to see some development out of Tolley, maybe. But, Mayor, we all pissed and moaned about Alex Cora not playing him. Why has he got him in the doghouse? Why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? Why is Trevor Story still playing? Well, I think Cora's been gone for a little while now, and Trevor Story is still playing shortstop. So I doubt that's coming from your manager because that man is simply a shill to what Breslow wants him to do. So if Breslow was this man who was so high on Marcelo, saying, I'm not going to trade him, I'm not going to send him to Arizona for Marte for a all-star second baseman, this is my guy, he's allowing this to occur? What kind of leadership is that? This is the guy that cleaned house, that got rid of all these coaches. That's the tough man that understands what he's doing, but yet isn't going to allow his guys to play and develop. We're not going to see anything. I know, John, you've been talking a little bit about trade deadlines and moves. They aren't going to do anything until the very last second because they're going to try to get what they feel is the most out of this. And Breslow is afraid for his life, so he's not even going to trade any of these guys because he knows the minute he goes to tank, they're going to ship him out because that's what this ownership does. They are, we joked a little bit about it when you talked about the firing of Alex Cora. That was a knee-jerk reaction. That was not a plan ahead. That was, everyone's pissed, let's do this. Breslow's upset, let's do this. That's what's going on with this team. That's how they respond to things. They do not have a vision. They do not have a plan. They do not have a goal. This year really could be an opportunity for them to say, you know what, Duran, thank you very much. I'm going to trade you. You're not part of our future. I need to make sure that we have Abreu playing, that we have Rafaela playing, and Anthony is playing left field. Yoshida, you're not going to dump Story and Yoshida. So this idea of let's DFA everybody, they're not going to do that. That is not even an option. We don't even need to talk about it. But let Yoshida DH. Move Story to second base because I don't think they're going to get rid of his money. Let him play second base and do whatever he's doing. Marcelo goes to short. Let those young pitchers develop. but they're not going to do that because these clowns look at, oh, we're 2 games out of the wild card. We need to ensure that people keep coming here, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to continue to say stuff. They're going to say, hey, we have a chance, which is why we haven't seen Roman Anthony. Oh, it's not a big deal, but yet we haven't seen him in a while. That's why Contreras getting hit on the hand. Oh, they're going to evaluate it in a couple of days because they know it's garbage. They know he's trouble, and that we're not going to hear anything. Crochet. Oh, he's just going to go on for the 15 days. Yet we haven't heard a word of him even coming anywhere near it. So, unfortunately, this year is going to be an absolute wash. Nothing is going to come positively out of it because you have a general manager who is afraid for his life, and he's not going to allow his team to develop and really just sort of take it. Just go out there and get blasted. We're still throwing out Zach Kelly. We're throwing out Weissert. If the right-hander is not named Whitlock, he is not going to get anybody out on a regular basis. Our lefties out of the bullpen are doing okay. The problem is more than half of baseball is right-handed, and you need those right-handed pitchers, but when they come in, it's a dumpster fire. And that's where we're struggling with this. It doesn't matter anything about it. And the irony of this whole thing, we're talking about Story and how garbage he is. In the 8 games in this month, he's got a hit in 6 of them. He's hit in 8 of his last 10. For the month of June, he's got a hit in 6 of 8 games in this month of May, and his average has gone down 7 points. That tells you all you need to know about this guy. He's getting on base, but it's weak contact. He doesn't do anything for. I agree. He's a waste of space in this lineup where he is, but that's where we're at. And unfortunately, I have a feeling that the only thing that we're going to have to be able to talk anything about is perhaps some of these young pitchers, because I doubt anybody else is going to develop.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to unpack there, but you made some extremely good points. And, again, we've talked about it a million times. If this was the old regime Red Sox of the early 2000s, you probably would have seen some sort of move being done. Even Dombrowski probably would have done something. But, unfortunately, you've had 2 general managers in Heimblum and Breslow who are in fear for their life. And, of course, now that you fired Alex Cora, the problem becomes, he is the next in line. There's no buffer from him anymore. And that's where the issue is going to lay. And if they continue to, strike this chord that they're only a couple games out of a potential wild card spot, yeah, they are going to continue to tell you that, things are going to turn around and we need to play better and the same old nonsense. But there's been showing online and on Twitter, I think Ballpark Buzz actually had a stat that showed that, most of your intangible numbers under Cora and under Tracy have been marginally the same. I know it's a smaller sample size, but nothing's improved. Nothing has changed. There hasn't been any dramatic, step forwards with anybody. So I think, this is going to be, like Thayer said, just another in the line of disappointing seasons. I think the best thing you can hope for is a last place finish, because then maybe you'll be higher up in the opportunity to get a draft pick. And I think there's also talk about that as being more of a lottery than just what your record is. So we'll have to see how that goes. But regardless, the Third Strike with Thayer is brought to you by Fenway Life Alert, because nothing says medical emergency quite like watching the Red Sox strand 11 runners while ESPN cuts to Trevor Story adjusting batting gloves for 14 straight minutes. I want to start with some talking points. And just to add more salt to the wound, it's going to be Trevor Story. So let's go ahead and get everybody on there. But enough with Trevor Story already. Trevor Story is hitting 200 with a 236 on base percentage, a 284 slugging, 520 OPS, 2 home runs, 18 RBIs, 7 walks, and 55 strikeouts through 155 at-bats. He's striking out now a 35.5% clip, which projects to roughly 180-plus strikeouts over a full 500 at-bat season. And with runners in scoring position, he's at a 233, 239, 372 slash, and a pathetic 611 OPS. So here's the question. How long are the Red Sox going to keep running this guy out every day like he's a core piece when the numbers say he's basically a rally fire extinguisher? John, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, Thayer brought it up of the Red Sox aren't going to burn their money, which I agree with. I don't think that we're going to get a DFA of Trevor Story unless if we do, it's going to be closer to that trade deadline. But listen, Masataka Yoshida rides the pine every single day, and he's by far a better player than Trevor Story is right now. So what is the holdup on moving Trevor Story to that bench spot and playing a guy like Andrew Monasterio, who has been he's been playing well. He doesn't qualify, so I don't have the exact percentages up on here, but he is a 284 expected batting average. That's top 10% in all of Major League Baseball. He's only whiffing at a 17% clip, very high, compared to the rest of the league. And he's only striking out in 19% of his at bats, which again is above the 50th percentile. He's been giving quality at bats. We've seen him play shortstop this year for us. He knows how to play the position, and he's giving you quality at bats. So why can't a guy like that go and play at shortstop or even at second base and move Meyer over to shortstop? Meyer, I know the holdup on him has been that he can't hit lefties. Granted, 8 at bats against lefties this season, but he has a 375 batting average against lefties. He's hit a home run against his only home run this year against a lefty, which was out of right field at Fenway Park, which was in one of the deepest parts of right field there. So there's a whole different, scenarios that you could go through here. But, if Masataka Yoshida is allowed to rot on the bench every single day when we know that he can contribute to this lineup, why can't we pull Trevor Story out of it when we know he's a guy that is not going to contribute to the lineup? Fourth percentile in K rate, 7th percentile in walk rate, 22nd percentile in range defensively. He's missed 52% of his games as a member of the Red Sox. He has a 39 WRC plus this season. He's striking out 33% of the time. He's done nothing positive. So why the hell do we keep on giving him these opportunities to play the most premium defensive position on the field when he fails to do so night in and night out?
Well, John, not only that, but they're also giving him opportunities as the cleanup hitter.
Yeah.
Which is another absolute train wreck of an idea. And not only was that done under Cora, it was done under Tracy too. So it just doesn't appear that anybody's learning anything. I had this tweet today. Actually, I uploaded the same one twice. So let me just grab this file here and pop that up. And we'll just move this one along. Let's see. Here we go. It's not coming up. Let's see. Anyway, there it goes. Okay. So Trevor Story ranks 6th worst in fielding percentage at shortstop in Major League Baseball. He also ranks 4th worst in arm strength. Trevor Story needs to go. Nick.
I mean, I've been saying this since he first came. I never was a fan. You knew the writing was on the wall when the whole contract was botched with Xander Bogaerts. You guys we knew it. Trevor Story playing second base for a season and then magically sliding over to short and then getting hurt and everything. He was their cheaper alternative and a much and far less superior player. I never liked him as a Rocky. I never thought that anything that he did over there would really translate back here to Boston. I think the only thing that some fans who have a glimmer of hope thinking that Trevor Story is going to just magically get hot as a pistol like he did last season, which I still don't know how he did, late May into late June was basically his highest peak that he had last season. It's not going to happen again. It's not. I wish that trade deadline was here when you could have gotten rid of him at that point, because now it's just going to be a continued decline of a player who will be 34 at the end of 2026 as well. It's not like he's getting any younger here, and we're already starting to see the throws. I always kind of look at how it's going to be. I don't know if he's going to make that throw to first base or if Wilson Contreras is going to have to save him from making some sort of a botched play. The range, we know that very well. I mean, we can look at that play from yesterday's game when Tolley threw. I can't believe that the scorer originally ruled that a hit. I had a hat on. and I watched it, and I was at my store, and I threw my hat because I was so mad that the scorer did not give that friggin' play an error. And I caused a little bit of a scene. I looked at the mother that was at the counter and I said, "This is your baseball team." And then I turned it off the television screen.
I mean, the worst part about that is that that's an
joke.
earned run to Peyton Tolley.
I know.
And then they called it an error, but they called it a hit and an error, which makes no sense to me. And
even professional scorers have gone soft in baseball.
Oh, it's awful.
Especially at Fenway.
Especially with
I
Story.
couldn't believe that was called a hit yesterday when that happened. I was like that emoji guy. I forget which character it is. That red guy that has flames coming out of his head like that. That's how mad I was yesterday that was a frigging hit.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've had enough with this guy because look at the whole Cora situation. I mean, it's my opinion and a lot of other people's that, with Trevor Story talking and getting all upset with Cora's firing, it was nothing more. Again, we talked about this on a previous show, that Trevor Story only caring about Trevor Story and wondering if he was going to get, a decrease in playing time, get moved, get DFA'd, whatever it was, and talking to Chad Tracy about it. So it's all he cares about. And here's the other thing too: the guy had almost a career season last year, and now this is what you're getting a year later. I almost find it almost hard to believe. So did he just try last year, hoping that maybe he would hear that other teams were interested and he would have opted out, and then realized that it wasn't going to happen and then just opted back in? I mean, I question that as well. And then I also had this tweet too. Caleb Durbin and Trevor Story continue to be two of the worst players in baseball in terms of OPS. Durbin and Story sit at number 2 and number 4 for worst OPS in the major leagues. The left side of the infield is just a train wreck. Thayer, you're up.
I wish I was up instead of these two sometimes.
I do too.
I don't know what to say. I'm at a loss at what to say because they're not rationally thinking about this. This is the problem, that the people that are in charge, the people that are making the decisions, we talk about Cora, we talk about Tracy, they have nothing to do with this. They are not making the lineups. The lineups are coming from the analytics department upstairs. It's coming from Breslow. It's coming from Henry, because Henry says, I wrote the check for Story. Story's our highest, our most sort of tenured player. He's making the most money on the team, right? So that's what he's there for. And Caleb Durbin is basically Breslow's only opportunity to say, I did something right. Because the other trades he made, there's nothing to it. When you get Contreras, that's something that makes sense, and all these other moves. His move was Durbin, and this is what he's trying to sell to everybody, that we're going to play with defense, and we're going to play with hustle, and we're going to change someone into something that they're not. That's not how it works. And sort of to John's point about Montecero, again, it's going to come down to what we talked about last year. Yes, you can put some stopgap in, but the guys that are there are not everyday baseball players. And I'm not saying Trevor Story is, but Montecero is not the answer. None of the guys on this roster to fill in. Yes, I think Mayer should be playing shortstop. But whether Story plays third base or second base, there's nobody that's any better than him. And that ultimately says it all. He is no good, and the guys you have underneath and waiting are worse. So, again, it falls into Breslow. And I don't like Trevor Story, and I don't want him to be playing all the time. But I don't want the other guys to be playing either.
Yeah, that's part of the bigger problem with this team is that it's kind of like, it's, the devil is worse than the devil you don't know, because nobody else is really you don't have a team of guys that are, showing any kind of sense, at least these infielders too, that are excelling and getting better. And I've brought this up a couple times on the show. if people think that there's something in the minor leagues that's coming up outside of Franklin Arias, you really don't hear much of anything in this minor leagues. We've been shoved down our throats with Kyle Teal, with Casas, Anthony. I can go down the list, Mayor. And now that all these guys are essentially here, we're living and dying by them. And at some point, it has to be said that they missed on all these guys, including I know this is going to get a lot of hatred, but I also think that this is a problem too. It's our next talking point. Are the Red Sox downplaying Roman Anthony's injury? There's a lot to unpack here as well. The bottom line here is Roman Anthony is hitting just 229 with one home run through his first 30 major league games this year. And now he's sidelined with a finger injury, serious enough that he's reportedly still hasn't resumed swinging a bat. This matters because Boston already committed over $130 million to him long term, and this offense has averaged barely 3 runs per game during stretches without him in the lineup. With Roman Anthony in the lineup, the team is 13-17. Without Anthony, it's 4-6. Boston is overall 17-23 after Sunday's 4-1 loss. So here's the question. If Anthony was supposedly dealing with a minor injury, why does it suddenly sound like the Red Sox have no idea when their biggest investment is even picking up a bat again? Thayer, what's your thoughts?
I think the front office is a bunch of clowns. I think the problem with this is, in getting to your point about Roman Anthony, do we think he's a lost cause? No, I do not. I think what he showed last year is what he's incredibly capable of. The difference between, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, the difference between last year and this year is at least there were a couple professionals around him. And he was not the individual sort of solely running the team. What the Red Sox have done, which is really just a malpractice, is put all the load on this kid. They put it all on him. And it's okay to put the load on him if they were to say, look, guys, simply we're developing our kids and we're going to try to do the best. They came in saying we are going to go and win the division. We're going to make the playoffs. When you have that expectation and put it all on the shoulders of 3 young kids, that's just absolute malpractice. They have created an unnecessary amount of pressure on this young man and the other 2 that I brought up simply to really get themselves going, because that's what the Red Sox think they're doing. They are idiots.
Mm-hmm.
And
as you see right there, Dumb and Dumber.
It's their fault. It's not the kid's fault. It's their fault for, one, putting them into a situation like this and then not providing anything. At least last year they had Bregman, who, like him or not, at least the man was a professional and handled most of the nonsense that was going on. They don't have anyone to do that this year.
Yeah, and it appears the more that you hear about Bregman and the leakage of different things, I think he had a little bit more of a stronger say in a lot what was going on, more so than people even thought. John, up with you. What's your thoughts on Roman Anthony's injury, and what are your expectations?
Yeah, I mean, as far as his current injury goes, a lot of people are starting to, hit the panic button on, is he injury prone? Which, even Nick, I know you've said that you think that, which,
I do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair
very
assessment to make, but then again, it's also been, an oblique injury that it's not common. It really only happened because he missed that pitch. For people that have played baseball, and especially once the game sped up at the high school, college level, and on from there, there's a major difference between hitting a pitch or even fouling off a pitch and missing it completely. So the oblique injury was just completely freak accident, and then again on the foul ball that he hurt his hand on, it's not something that you could really prevent. There's no stretching that you could do to keep that from happening. It's just an unfortunate situation. Now, where again, what goes wrong is the Red Sox absolutely do downplay pretty much everything. We've seen it with Garrett Crochet now. We saw it with Justin Slayton. We've seen it in years past. Tristan Casas injuries. That was really him downplaying it because he doesn't know anything. But even Bregman's injury last year was downplayed a little bit. And then obviously this Roman injury, and now probably in the future, the Wilson Contreras hand situation is probably going to be downplayed. And then we're going to get a story tomorrow on that he needs to land on the IL. But listen, Roman has been a disappointment, I think would be fair to say this season. But you look underneath the hood and his Savant page is still bloody red. The only thing that he's, below league average in is his whiff percent and his strikeout percentage, which his strikeout percentage is down 7 ticks from last year. His whiff percentage is down a tick as well. So, he's improved there, but everything else still looks phenomenal. It's just a matter of him lifting the ball up in the air still at this point. So I'm not concerned with him at all. I think that, Thayer said it phenomenally. They've put him in a situation that unless he's hitting, at an MVP level, people are going to be mad at him. And that's completely on the front office for not, for making a 21-year-old have to be, an MVP type caliber player for this team to be successful. So, to tie everything into a bow, it's just unfortunate that he's in the situation that he is in right now, that he has to be a phenomenal player. The front office didn't do their job in, putting pieces around him so that when he isn't, playing at an all-star MVP type level, that it looks like that it's his fault when it really isn't. And again, the downplaying of the injuries, the Red Sox have been doing it for years, and it's just really annoying when you see other teams like the Phillies, for example, who are going to be here tomorrow. They don't downplay anything. They tell you the truth. They're on top of things. They don't sugarcoat anything. They give it to you straight up. And it's really annoying, hearing things day in and day out from a team that just always leaves you scratching your head.
Nick, we'll finish with you. Your thoughts on Roman Anthony?
John, just to continue your point, the reason the Phillies say it like it is and shoot from the hip is because of Dave Dombrowski. I think that's one of the reasons we get so frustrated of what we have to deal with now with Chaim Bloom and Craig Breslow era, is because we went through what Dombrowski was like. He told you how it is. He told you what we were going to do, and he made it happen. This team lies straight to your face, and it drives you up a cliff because all you want is transparency. All you want is for them to do exactly what they're supposed to do, and they don't do that. So, yes, the Phillies are a model organization on how that's supposed to be done, large in part because of Dave Dombrowski. I want to go back again to Thayer with his great point that he brought up regarding that Trevor Story whole playing time. You hit it out of the park when you said because they don't have anybody else. You're 100% right. They don't. I mean, Andrew Monasterio is your guy if you want to play him. You also don't have Romy Gonzalez. There's another guy that's MIA. Maybe he comes back, maybe he doesn't. But I don't think we talk about him not being a part of this team enough, because this is a massive loss without Romy Gonzalez on this team. It just is. That's how good of a season Romy Gonzalez had last year. Now,
to me, I think it's a sad state of affairs that when you're talking about the Boston Red Sox, folks, that you are praying to God that a guy that was DFA'd by the White Sox is your savior, that you're waiting to come back. That's how bad we've gotten.
That's how desperate you need him. I swear to God, I say it with a straight face. Romy Gonzalez would be a star on this team right now because of the bodies that you have. That's just where it would. Romy would probably be your number 4 hitter right now, guys. Absolutely. You'd probably put Contreras at 3. That's probably what it would be.
Yeah, we did get an update on Romy. Tim Healy said that Romy said he's on track to return around 3 months post-op, which would be June 12th, in line with his doctor's original estimates. On Saturday, he played catch for the first time since his operation, and this upcoming Friday he's going to start using the bat. So at least we have some sort of timeline on him. Looks like we're a month out at this point, which again, for a guy that Nick just said, would make this team a lot better. And as awful it is to say that Romy Gonzalez would make this team a lot better, that's the reality of the situation. We need that guy back. So it's good that we finally have a timeline on him.
That timeline's really September 1. Like wink, wink, nod,
nod. It might be, but at least we have a date that, again, as we just said, are the Red Sox honest about injuries? We'll see on June 12th.
And that's where we get to this guy. And I'm going to blast the Red Sox right now for Roman Anthony because they knew he was going to be out longer than it was, but they don't want fans to panic because they want fans to have some hope and drag this along so you don't lose interest with a guy who's super popular on your team. Roman Anthony probably won't play for probably another month and a half, guys. Let's realistically set the expectation right there. And I would say if you see him June 1st, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with that too. But look, here's a team that wants you to remain engaged, wants you to buy tickets, wants you to buy souvenirs and merchandise, come to the games and spend money on $10 hot dogs and so forth. They can't just tell you from the get-go that he's going to be gone for a certain amount of time. Same thing with Crochet. Same thing you hear with anybody that is, a better than average player on this team, because you're just going to lose fans and they don't want to do that. So,
but they're also, Jim, losing fans kind of like the hardcores like we are, because they continue to spew nonsense out of their mouth and piss us all off.
Yeah, well, I have a hard time believing that
pick their lane, and they don't.
I have a hard time believing that this ownership group cares about the hardcore fan anymore. And the reality is that if you and I, as hardcore fans, don't buy tickets and go to the game, some slap happy, family of four from, Nanuet, New York is going to come up in the Mets or in Fenway. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. Moving right along, we're going to talk about the Red Sox historic numbers here. They're quietly on pace for historic bad strikeout numbers. The Red Sox now 17-23 overall, just 8-12 at Fenway, and the offense has already racked up roughly 370 strikeouts through 40 games, putting them on a pace for nearly 1,500 strikeouts this season. And I'm sorry that Nick and Thayer were not on the screen there. To put that in perspective, the all-time MLB record belongs to the 2019 Detroit Tigers with 1,595 strikeouts, 1,595 strikeouts, followed by the 2018 White Sox at 1,594 and the 2019 Mariners at 1,581. All those teams lost at least 94 games in those seasons. So here's the question. You fired the manager, you changed the coaching staff, changed the messaging, changed the philosophy, and the offense still looks exactly the same. So when does this organization admit the real problem might actually be the roster? 60 seconds, John.
When is the organization going to admit that the roster is the problem? They're not.
Right.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But, they're 16th in total strikeouts right now. They're striking out on average 8.5 times per game, which, it doesn't jump off the sheets. It doesn't jump out at you at all too much like how it has in past years, which, is a good thing. But when you put it like this on screen, it is terrifying. And, it's a product of everybody striking out a lot more than teams have in the past. The pitching's gotten velocity, at least has, continues to tick up and up and up. But to answer your question, nothing is going to change, on a broad scale. This team isn't going to come out tomorrow and, for the next 30 games, strike out at a league average rate. They're always going to be, as they have been for the past 5 years or so, up in that, 25 to 27% strikeout rate as a roster. the strikeouts are there, but in years past, we had slugging on this team, and that's just not there anymore. So, the strikeouts used to jump out, but we didn't freak out about them because there was the slug. Slug's not there, and now the team that strikes out a little bit more than league average, those strikeouts become a lot more important because you don't have that guy in the lineup that's going to come out and hit a home run, that 3-run home run for you that we've had in past years.
Yeah, and when you have Trevor Story with a slugging percentage under 280, you just can't live in that area anymore. Fair 60 seconds. Your thoughts on the strikeouts and so forth?
Well, the three teams that they're comparing them to were all teams with terrible rosters that lacked power and that lacked production. That's what the Red Sox are. They have a theory behind their hitting of lifting the ball, which takes your bat through the zone with less time in the hitting zone, and it forces your players to be better bat to ball. The problem is you have inferior players for bat to ball. Second of all, you have no one with any power. In order to generate the power, they have to give max effort on every swing and every at bat. So the idea of cutting down for those 2 strike attempts, they don't do. And what they start to do is, in order to get to the fastballs like Trevor Story, like John was saying, you have more power pitchers throwing the ball 97 and above. These inadequate baseball players, in order to get to 97 above, have to start early. And they have to generate their own power and start their bat speed because they're lacking. Like we saw with Caleb Durbin, some of the worst bat speed in the history of baseball. So what do? They start early. Maybe occasionally they connect on a fastball, but more times than not, they're not. And that leaves them very susceptible, like Trevor Story, to off-speed pitches. And that's what you're getting. You're getting guys that are flailing at pitches, that are making themselves look disgusting. And that's a combination of a roster that's inferior with a offensive sort of game plan and mindset that is not devoted to making your players successful. It's a twofold issue that cannot be solved.
Yeah,
and that's just where they're at.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that the roster is the roster. There's really no other way to describe it. I mean, Cora hit the nail on the head, and it's going to continue to be that way until some change is made. And I think for the benefit of the fan, the Red Sox fan, you better hope that this team finishes dead last and is absolutely a merciful display. And the reason why I say that is because if you want change and you want to start winning games again and having a winning product on the field, that's the only way it's going to change. And if you want to come at me and say, yeah, but last year they were in the playoffs. They weren't good enough to be in the playoffs. They weren't. If you don't have that 10-game winning streak in the middle of the season, they don't make it. If you don't have Crochet 10 games over 500, you don't make it. Well, they just in 21 were in the playoffs too. It's twice this decade. In 2021, they were a Rafael Devers home run into it. If they didn't have that, they were out of the playoffs too. So, look, there's no one left from 21 essentially either, let alone 18. So they're not investing into a product that was a winning formula. And the same thing last year. You want to call the 2025 Red Sox a winning formula? What did you do to improve it? Again, we can talk about this over and over and over again. You needed a right-handed power bat to complement bringing back Bregman and a number 2 starter. You did none of it. People want to say that you got Ranger Suarez. That's fine. But Thayer brought this up on many shows, even in the offseason. You can't just you can't dabble in the water and expect to get, wet. You have to jump all the way in, and that's not what they did. They jump in on one, but then they dabble in other realms or just completely get cold feet. And that's not going to win you a championship. That's not what 2004, 2007, 2008, that's not what those teams were built upon. Nick, 60 seconds on the strikeout numbers.
Well, I mean, this pretty much locks in where I expect the Red Sox to be at the end of the season. Thanks for putting it in red, white, and blue, Jim, because this is where we'll be. We'll be in the 1,500 strikeouts. We may even set the record if Trevor Story and crew are still a part of this team. They are all things that we identified last season. I don't want to be a broken record, but we all talked about in order for the Red Sox to improve from what we saw from last season would be to cut down strikeouts, make more contact. Like you said, Jim, get another right-handed thumper for the lineup, get a legitimate number 2 starter, and they failed to continue to do that. So this is where they're at right now. I am not surprised. I think the worst is yet to come still for this team. 60 may be pushing it for wins. It might be.
Yeah.
I'm looking at like a 62, 63 win season right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's well within the margin of error.
They're that bad.
Yep. Moving right along to pitching probables.
Goody.
Here's what we have on tap for the Phillies series. And tomorrow, Tuesday, May 12th, we have the Philadelphia Phillies coming into town for a 6:45 p.m. start. We don't even know who the starter is for that. Wednesday is supposedly a 6:45 start. Sonny Gray is supposed to be on the mound for that game. And on Thursday, another 6:45 is supposed to be Ranger Suarez. John, really quickly, what is your predictions for this series?
Yeah, so first off, I think tomorrow is supposed to be an opener for Bayo.
Could be.
If I'm not mistaken.
Do we know that confirmed yet? Because there was still been some talk.
Yep.
I think that's
he needs his ass wiped before he goes out to pitch, and then
so I think the TBD is just up there for the time being for because we don't have confirmation on who the opener is going to be. I wouldn't expect it to be Moran again, just because he didn't perform last time.
He's a Moran.
But guess what? Your opponent's Zach Wheeler, so it doesn't really matter who the opener is. The Red Sox will be lucky to get one run in that game. Then Wednesday, Andrew Painter versus Sonny Gray. Andrew Painter's had a really tough start to the year, 6.89 ERA. So that game I have a little bit of faith in. And then Thursday, the getaway game, Jesus Luzardo versus Ranger Suarez. Is Suarez going to be on a pitch count? Is he even going to pitch? We don't know for sure yet. Jesus Luzardo has a 5.98 ERA this season, but he's been the most unlucky pitcher in baseball. So do not be surprised, anybody, if he comes out, throws 7 innings of 1-run baseball with 10 plus strikeouts. I've got 1 out of 3 in this series. And that win's probably going to be the Sonny Gray start.
Yeah, I'm just going to go next just for the ha-has of it. But I want to say this. If the Philadelphia Phillies were the team that you were facing 3 weeks ago, when they lost 9 in a row or whatever it was, I would say the Red Sox would win 1 out of 3. But the Don Mattingly Phillies are currently 7-3 in their last 10. I'm going for a complete sweep of the Philly cheesesteaks. Nick, you're next.
I'm going the same boat as you. The only one that I'm questioning is Sonny Gray up against Andrew Painter. I think that one at least might give a little bit of a chance. But out of this, I am going with a Philly fanatic sweep.
There, you're up. Cheesesteaks all around or what?
Wow. I can't believe I'm going to be this guy. The Red Sox are going to win this series 2 out of 3. And the reason they're going to win this series 2 out of 3 is, 1, Painter is not very good.
Hey, let him speak. I'm liking what I'm hearing right now.
I think Gray is going to beat the Phillies on Wednesday. And also because I think Finn is going to be at that game with me, so there's a very good chance that kid's undefeated at Fenway Park. So I do think the Phillies are going to win game 1 with Wheeler. I think Gray is going to win game 2. And then Thursday, 1, I think Suarez is the kind of guy that this is going to be his playoffs. He's going to step up because it's revenge. So I think that's going to be important. And 2, what happens whenever we throw out that right-handed lineup against the lefty that we're like, oh, we're going to get slaughtered? Somehow Durbin, Montecchio, Story, Wong is in there. All those guys end up hitting like double in the second inning. So I'm going to say 2 out of 3 for the Red Sox.
Look, I hear you when you say Sonny Gray could have a really good game. And I hear you that Ranger Suarez is going to have a little bit more motivation because it's his old team. But those guys can't hit, and neither can your lineup. And I just don't have enough faith that this stupid, wretched lineup is going to score enough runs because let me tell you something. And I put the tweet out today. It was in our article, today's article. It said the Red Sox have to just basically throw shutouts, and they know it now because they're not going to get enough run support. So they've got to throw better than a quality start to even get a chance to win. And sure, Ranger Suarez could go out and give 6 innings of 1-run ball or 7 innings, but then you're going to bring in the misfits, the gutless bums, and something bad's going to happen because you're not going to get Whitlock and Chapman and even Slayton if you're down. So here comes in Zach Kelly, here comes in Weissert, and the freaking Bumblebee bums. I mean, it's what's going to happen. So, yeah, it's a clown show. So that's the bottom line. Moving right along to Piece of Take. So tonight's Piece of Take is an interesting thing, which I saw. John and I were talking about this earlier. But this was the piece from SNY, New York. I'm sure most people saw this. But so the Mets hope to save their season, and they attempt to do so at any cost. They'll have to get creative. Could one option be targeting a veteran around the sport who looks uncomfortable with their current team? What about Trevor Story with the Red Sox? SNY's Chelsea Janes, who probably got fired tonight, explores the hypothetical situation. Trevor Story is struggling, even as he is vocally frustrated with the Red Sox management. Could the Mets pair a deal for him and his contract while grabbing an outfield from Boston's longstanding logjam? If it sounds like throwing good money after bad, it might be. But if the whole season is going to be bad money anyway, might as well see a fresh start for a player with a strong track record. Can help revive him.
She's been fired
at once. So here's my thing on this. This will make my 2026 season. Mic drop. John?
Yeah, I mean, I responded. I forget what I said, but I responded or actually, I know exactly what I said. My response to this tweet from the SNY Mets was, I am submitting my application at Coaches for Hire to personally drive Trevor Story down to Queens. Let's make it happen. This guy's a career 230 hitter outside of Coors Field.
Take a bow.
He stinks. Like, if any team wants to take him off our hands, please go ahead and do it. I don't know who. Like, listen, I know the Mets have had a really rough time. I think they have the worst record in baseball right now. If this is their solution, I'm not stopping you from doing it. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it would be pretty Metsy for the Mets to do that. Nick, your take.
Oh, if there is a God. Oh, please, please, please. I'll do anything anybody else wants. Please, please take him.
Thayer, your take.
Chelsea, your reporting is spot on. I think Trevor Story is absolutely the piece that the Mets need. I completely agree. The Red Sox have not used him appropriately. They've completely wasted his talent. They've put him in positions where he has not been put in a successful situation. In Queens, in Flushing, I think he would absolutely be an MVP candidate.
Who wants to say it? I see what you did there.
There, you got it. I mean, I don't know if anybody else could have said it better.
I think she's brilliant.
We just had an earthquake here in Reading, Massachusetts, so I'm sorry. I had to go down. Oh, God.
All right. I think that's going to wrap it up. Let's go into comments. So let's get these comments going for today. See what we got here. We'll start off with Glenn. Glenn said he didn't get the notification tonight. Sorry about that. It was actually scheduled. I usually don't schedule them in advance, but This one I did. So whether you're on X or you're on watching it on YouTube, looks like X, but sorry about that. Glenn says you can't be serious. He's not. That's what you do when you're trying to say you're trying to like I see what you did there type of thing. So.
I need a Jedi mind trick those people into doing it.
Yeah, this is exactly the shortstop you want, right? So
these are the shortstops you're looking for.
Yeah, these are the shortstops you're looking for. Nick, I don't know what you did to blue yourself out there, but
what did I do?
I don't know. You're blued out from somehow. I don't know what you did. There, you can't be serious, right? Ringling Brothers, Glenn says. That's exactly what it is. Matt says, why is Story still playing on my baseball team? It's enough already. There's no excuses anymore from him. He's healthy and still has no idea what to do. He's breaking down, and I think there's a very good thing, idea to say that he's just going through the motions at this point. He went crazy last year. It's my opinion that he thought he could find a good deal in the offseason. His agent probably said there's nothing out there. Just re-up and just walk through it. Honestly, Mayer should have started the season at shortstop, but no, Cora was obsessed with him thought he was perfect. Not to mention Story couldn't stop whining about Cora leaving, like, grow the hell up and get away from me. Well, look, I mean, the bottom line is they didn't even tell Marcelo Mayer that he was going to be the shortstop until like 5 minutes before opening day. I mean, that's how bad.
Second base.
And yeah, so I mean, at that point, if you're not even sure he's going to be your second baseman, how are they going to make him the shortstop? And Cora loves his guys. He didn't have Bregman. He needs a veteran in there. That's Trevor Story, and that's why Trevor Story went apeshit when Cora was fired. Matt says, Nick, is Crochet going to even pitch again?
Yes, he's going to pitch again.
We just don't know what year.
In 2028.
Matt also says everything about this organization is pathetic and childish. Welcome to the 2026 Red Sox, same as the 25, the 24, the 23, the 22, the 21, 20. It's over and over again. We responded, yeah, I do think Crochet pitches again, but why bother using those bullets when your team is ass? I don't know which one of us replied to that one, but Matt also wrote in, also, is Breslin ever leaving because he has ruined my summer? He's ruined everybody's summer, just like Chaim Bloom ruined your summer. Mm-hmm. It's the summer of the 26 Red Sox. Thoughts on Torey Lavillo as the next manager? So I quoted this, and I saw that on Twitter. I said, if this is true, I'm in. But, there's a lot of people that wrote in underneath me, and part of it was like, why would he leave a perfect relationship, in Arizona? He's kind of the king there. He's got a great general manager that supports him. Why want to come here when you know that you probably can only last about 3 years? So Michael had said earlier, Nick put it up, fire Trevor Story into the sun. Groovy Weenie, Trevor Story is just the worst ever. Why does no one see that and keep him on the team? It's because of the money in the contract. That's the only reason. I could hit better than Trevor Story. Give the Red Sox a call. Just go down the Lansdowne Street.
Listen, all of us have been better than Trevor Story this year. The guy's got a negative 0.5 WAR. So,
yeah. So actually,
better than Trevor Story.
Each one of us and all you guys actually are better than Trevor Story. No one is coming to save this team. No, there's not going to be a light at the end of the tunnel, Mike. This is what you're going to get. You're going to get a 60-65 win team. And I hope it's less. I really do. This team needs to be punished for what they've done to the fans and in this organization. And for all the people that say, oh, you're just no negative. What's there to be positive about? Name me one guy in this lineup that's taken a step forward this year, or a step forward in his career. I mean, maybe you could say Raphael a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Rafaela has, Willie Abreu has, I guess Connor Wong has, but it hasn't been significant enough to make any actual difference in the win and loss column.
I mean, honestly, Willie Abreu and Contreras have been your best players, but I don't know. Groovy says this is terrifying number. Trevor Story's fault since he can't hit to save his life. I wonder if he could get a hit to save his life, save it.
Nope.
3 pitches, you're out.
Let's see. Older Revelist says, can we put Trevor Story and Jaron Duran on a slow boat to China?
Oh, I would want him to be on a speedboat.
I mean, Jemai Webster might think that they could bring him to China with Yoshida because he thought he was Chinese. They both
Don't
got to
go on the
go.
Jamal front.
Yeah. The goal shouldn't be just make the playoffs. The goal should be win the whole thing. But see, that's the problem, Mike. This is what ownership looks at now. There was a stat last year that said payroll was down 37% or 35%. Let's see, payroll was down 35%, but attendance was only down 7%. So it doesn't take a mathematician to realize I could save 35% and I'll only lose 7% of attendance. So they're just creating a team that they feel can back into that third wild card. And then it's one of those things where you say anything can happen at that point and anybody can get hot. So that's their mentality now. You know, they've won 4 championships. They don't have that desire. There's not that sense of urgency anymore. And it's never going to come back with this ownership group. Icon, you gave a little bit of a smile there. My birthday is Wednesday, and thankfully I won't see the game. Happy birthday, Matt. Red Sox diehard says Story sucks, Duran sucks, Weissert sucks. Get the F out of Boston, right?
He forgot about Kelly, and he forgot about who's that other relief pitcher who stinks.
Moran.
No, Moran's been fine. The right-handed one. Oh God, what's his name?
Watson.
Watson.
Ryan Watson. Michael says, please, Mets. I mean, that's probably the only thing to celebrate the whole season. And we'll probably have like a call-in on that day or something like that. It'd be like winning the World Series. Story bound for a comeback in Queens. Let them have it. I'm done. We don't need to even bother with that anymore.
We agree. MVP player. Swings made for the Queens.
Exactly. That's going to wrap it up for tonight. I'd like to thank everybody for being on the show and contributing their comments. Also, too, thanks to the panel, John, Nick, and Thayer for being on. Tom and Quincy was supposed to be on tonight. Unfortunately, he had some audio issues, so he apologizes for not being on. If anybody was aware that he was going to be on tonight, he does apologize for that. Also, too, go to our website, redsoxdigest.com, and go ahead and get a free subscription. We have an article every day after a Red Sox game, sarcastic, slapstick, and savage about this team. And then also don't forget to, we don't have it today because there was no game, but the Star of the Game contest is something, you'll see this graphic on my account and everybody else's perhaps, but at least mine, and it'll say Star of the Game sweepstakes. If you comment who you think the star of the game is for that day and you got it right, you get a point. Whoever has the most points by the end of the season in October will win a $100 MLB gift card shop card, and we'll put you on the podcast too for that day. So something else to think about there. Other than that, anybody else got any other comments or things that they want to talk about?
Jim, do you want to mention what you did this past weekend with a certain awesome media personality in Boston?
Yeah, so I reached out on Cameo, and I actually got a hold of Tony Maserati to do a cameo for us. It is up on X if you want to take a look at it. He gave a great shout out to all of us here at Red Sox Digest. And he also offered to be on our show. So we're trying to schedule that so that we can get Maz's opinions and takes on the Red Sox season. I think it would be a lot of fun to get him on. Tom and Quincy has been working, talking to him today. And he did say that he would definitely be interested. I think there is a graphic on that I can show everybody if I'd like to see where it goes here. Yeah, here it is here. So let me bring that up. Bear with me.
I also called into 98.5 today because Maz didn't think that I was real. So I called in and I said, "Hey, Tony, guess who's calling? It's me, the real Nick Face." And then they gave me another 5 seconds. And then I said, I was just grateful that my family didn't name me Richard.
Yeah. So Tom had wrote Tony today. He says that I saw the cameo. I appreciate the kind words. And so Tony did write back, would love to. When do you guys record? So I did email Tony. So hopefully we'll get it together. Tom did say something that Tony might be interested in doing something next week. So we'll definitely post what night that will be when we get it scheduled. That's going to do it for tonight. Thank you, everybody. Again, have a great night, and we'll see how this Philly series pans out. And we'll let you know when our next broadcast will be online. Have a good night, everybody.